The Legend of Jigong, Chapter 39.
We're basically going to unpack this intense tension between appearances and reality.
I found.
And we're also plunging directly into the concept of crazy wisdom.
Oh, yeah. We need to define that for sure.
For those who might be unfamiliar, crazy wisdom is this tradition in Eastern philosophy where a spiritual master uses highly unconventional, often shocking, and seemingly insane methods to wake a student up.
To just snap them out of it.
Exactly. It bypasses the logical mind entirely. And this text, it is essentially a masterclass in that exact phenomenon.
I want to jump right back into that bedroom, though, at the Subishan estate. Because the tension in that cat and mouse game under the bed is just phenomenal.
It really is.
So the monk, Jigong, tells the wealthy estate owner, Subishan, that there is a thief sent under this one specific bed.
A thief sent?
He doesn't claim to have seen a shadow. He didn't hear a floorboard squeak. Nothing like that.
No.
His detection method is entirely non-sensory. Or at least it's this heightened spiritual sense that literally no one else in the room possesses.
Which establishes a massive epistemological problem for everyone else, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, how do you act on information that literally cannot be independently verified?
You can't.
Subishan is a rational homeowner. He does what any of us would do. He demands an empirical test. He sends his servants in to gather data.
Right, so they grab ropes, they grab wooden sticks, and they start just poking around underneath the bed. And this is where we need to talk about Chen, the thief. Because he is no amateur, he is a full-blown martial arts expert. The text details how he uses this intense physical mastery to avoid detection.
Yeah, the physical discipline required for that maneuver is just staggering.
He sucks in a deep breath, engages his core, and uses his limbs to basically spider climb the underside of the bed frame.
Just pressing his entire body flat against the boards.
Yeah. I mean, think about the panic he must be feeling.
Oh, he is actively suppressing his body's natural panic responses. His lungs are burning, his heart is pounding, but he controls it.
He turns himself into a ghost.
He really does. And empirically speaking, his technique works perfectly.
Flawlessly.
The servants are swinging sticks through the exact space he should be occupying, and they hit nothing but air.
Just air. So the servants pull their sticks out, right? And they report back to Subishan. They basically say, case closed, we poked around, we felt absolutely nothing. According to all the rules of physical evidence, the space is empty, the tools have spoken. But Jigong completely rejects their physical evidence. He doesn't even entertain it for a second.
What's fascinating here is how Jigong's insistence just shatters the standard rules of investigation.
Yeah.
The servants performed an experiment, they gathered data, the data came back negative. In any normal court of law or, any scientific inquiry, you move on.
You'd have to.
But Jigong possesses this absolute, unshakable certainty that defies observation. He is essentially telling the servants, your tools are blind, and your methodology is flawed because it relies purely on the material world.
Okay, let's unpack this from Chen Liang's perspective, the thief's perspective. Because I look at this scenario, and I think of it like a high-stakes magic trick that goes horribly, horribly wrong for the magician.
Oh, I like that. Unpack that a bit more.
Okay.
How does the magician analogy fit here?
Well, think about what an illusionist does, right? They practice sleight of hand to exploit the blind spots of the audience. They know exactly how the human eye tracks movement, and they use that to make things disappear. And Chen Liang executed his evasion technique perfectly. He beat the sticks. He beat the physical search.
Yeah.
He performed the magic trick flawlessly. He managed to trick the audience.
He did.
So I can only imagine how terrifying it must be to execute your absolute best move, to know for a fact that you succeeded, only to be foiled by a guy in ragged robes who simply refuses to participate in the trick.
Oh, totally. I'd argue it goes even further than simple terror, though. It is a profound psychological devastation.
Yeah.
It's not just the fear of being caught. It is the sudden realization that his entire paradigm of reality, his physical prowess, his years of martial arts training, his stealth, his mastery of the material world, all of it is completely irrelevant. Jigong didn't outmuscle him. Jigong bypassed the physical realm entirely. Chen Liang's entire identity as an untouchable master thief is just dismantled in a matter of seconds.
Dismantled is the perfect word. So the servants heave the bed, they flip it completely over, and boom, the illusion is shattered.
There he is.
There he is, clinging to the frame like a terrified bat. And he absolutely panics. He has this incredibly valuable pure steel sword, right? And in his sheer terror, he strikes out blindly.
Right, he just lashes out.
The blade catches on a servant's wooden stick. He drops the weapon entirely and scurries up onto the roof.
Without his sword.
Without it. The text even notes he has to change into his dark night clothes up there just to hide in the shadows until morning. He is utterly humiliated.
That humiliation, though, is the critical first step in his spiritual journey, even though he certainly doesn't know it yet.
Definitely not.
Chen Liang entered that house as an apex predator, a master of his craft. He escapes as a frightened animal, leaving his fangs, his prized sword behind on the floor.
His ego has sustained a massive critical injury, which sets up this really chaotic transition the very next morning. The sun comes up, but the emotional fallout from that bedroom is just waiting to spill out onto the streets.
Oh, it's messy.
And I had to reread this next section like 3 times.
Yeah.
Because the logic of Chen Liang's behavior here is just so utterly broken.
Right.
It's the next morning, and Sube Shan, the estate owner, decides to basically clean house.
Yeah.
He fires a servant named Sufu.
Okay.
And as Sufu is wandering out of the estate gates, just muttering to himself about losing his livelihood, Chen Liang steps out of the shadows.
A severely emasculated and furious.
Chen Liang grabs this servant and just starts beating him up. Not to interrogate him, not for any tactical advantage. He explicitly states he just wants to hit him.
And the narrative introduces a brilliant layer of irony here regarding justice and consequence.
Right, because the beating is broken up by 2 guys on their way to the fruit market.
Yeah.
And they drop this incredible proverb. They say, good things are worse than no things, which essentially means, don't stir the pot. Even good intentions can lead to disaster, so it's better to just have nothing happen at all.
It's a very cynical, self-preservation kind of worldview.
Very. So Sufu scurries away, but Chen Liang is still just seething. And then Yutong is released from the estate.
And this is where the listener needs the crucial context of what happened behind closed doors earlier that morning.
Oh, this is such a major twist. The source text reveals that Sube Shan, the wealthy owner, originally wanted to send both of these servants, Sufu and Yutong, straight to the local magistrate.
He wanted them punished.
Formally, legally punished, severely. But Jigong, the supposedly crazy monk, actually intervened.
Right.
Jigong talked Sube Shan down. He argued for mercy. He suggested they should just be fired, spared the wrath of the legal system, and, given a chance to reform.
So Jigong, operating within the formal legal and social framework of the estate, actually acts as their savior. He alters their fate for the better.
He does. But Chen Liang has absolutely no idea about any of this behind-the-scenes mercy. He just sees Yutong walking out the gate.
Yeah.
So he charges at Yutong, and this time the violence is brutal.
He really escalates it.
He punches him, he kicks him, he rolls him around in the dirt, just wailing on him until another random passerby finally intervenes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, if we look closely at the mechanics of this universe, the profound irony is just staggering.
It's wild.
Think about the cosmic ledger being balanced here. Jigong uses his spiritual authority to save the servants from the formalized punishment of the magistrate.
Right.
But the universe, acting through the chaotic, humiliated, and enraged vessel of Chen Liang, delivers a severe physical punishment to them anyway.
It's as if the punishment was a homing missile.
Exactly.
Jigong deflected it from the legal system, but it just rerouted through a crazy martial artist in the street.
It raises really deep questions about the nature of karma and action. Jigong disrupted the natural order of the physical world by exposing the thief through unnatural intuitive means.
Yeah.
That disruption created a massive shockwave of negative energy, which is Chen Liang's shattered ego. That energy had to ground itself somewhere.
It had to go somewhere.
Right. It sought the path of least resistance, and those servants were that path. It demonstrates that actions and consequences in this philosophical landscape are deeply entangled and rarely ever linear.
That makes Chen Liang's violence seem almost like inevitable, like a force of nature rather than a calculated decision.
Absolutely.
But he can't avoid the source of that shockwave forever, right? The thief finally comes face to face with the architect of his misery in broad daylight.
The confrontation is inevitable. And brilliantly, it centers entirely around the ultimate symbol of Chen Liang's lost power and identity.
The sword.
The sword.
Jigong strolls out of the estate cage, just completely nonchalant, and he's casually carrying Chen Liang's dropped pure steel sword.
Just holding it.
Yeah, and Chen Liang is standing there watching him, trying to gauge the distance, calculating if he can rush the monk and take his weapon back.
His mind is still working like a thief, like a fighter.
Right, but Jigong doesn't even look at him. He just speaks into the air, casually warning that if Chen Liang comes close, he'll chop him with it.
Notice how Jigong maintains absolute control of the physical space without ever adopting a martial stance.
He's not doing, like, karate moves.
No, he isn't holding the sword like a warrior at all. He's holding it like a prop. Yet, his sheer presence paralyzes a master thief.
And while holding this deadly weapon, Jigong delivers what has to be the thematic thesis of the entire text.
Oh, without a doubt.
He says to Chen Liang, "What you see with your eyes might be false. What you hear might not be true." And he openly reprimands Chen Liang for his initial overarching plan, which, according to the text, was to murder the entire family in the estate without ever investigating the truth of whatever grievance brought him there in the first place.
That phrase, "what you see with your eyes might be false, what you hear might not be true," is the absolute core of Jigong's philosophy.
It sums everything up.
It does. He is telling Chen Liang that his entire worldview, which relies entirely on sensory input, quick judgments, and immediate violent reactions, is fundamentally broken.
It perfectly mirrors the scene under the bed.
Yes.
The servants trusted their eyes and the physical feedback of their sticks, and they were dead wrong.
Yeah.
Chen Liang trusted his stealth and his physical placement, and he was dead wrong.
Exactly. Not only that, but Jigong isn't content to just deliver a verbal lecture. A master of crazy wisdom orchestrates a physical demonstration to shatter the student's preconceptions.
Right.
And what he does next completely annihilates the meaning of the sword.
I read this interaction with the antique dealer, and I was genuinely confused at first. It felt so petty.
It does seem that way on the surface.
Yeah, so an antique dealer, a guy who trades in calligraphy and weapons, happens to be walking by. He sees this incredibly well-crafted, pure steel weapon in the hands of a ragged monk and asks how much he wants for it.
Right.
Jigong, without missing a beat, says he'll sell this deadly martial arts masterpiece for 2 bottles of wine money.
Okay, 2 bottles.
But the catch is, Jigong claims the specific wine he drinks costs 10 taels of silver per bottle. So he's essentially asking for 20 taels of silver.
We really need to contextualize that price for the listener because 10 taels of silver for a bottle of wine is an astronomical, almost mythical sum.
Right.
It would be like walking up to a pawn shop with a custom-made sniper rifle and offering to trade it for a glass of house wine, but insisting your house wine costs the same as a brand new Ferrari.
That's a great analogy.
The pricing is intentionally absurd.
So the antique dealer obviously just laughs at him and walks away, assuming the monk is completely out of his mind. But looking at this, is Jigong actually trying to liquidate the sword for drinking money? Or is he just trolling the guy?
It might look petty, but look closer at what he's actually pricing. He's not going to buy wine. He is pricing Chen Liang's entire identity.
Oh, wow.
Think about what a pure steel sword represents to a martial artist. It is the physical manifestation of his lethality, his social status, his ability to force his will upon the world.
It's his ego.
It is his ego forged in metal. By offering to trade it for wine and then pricing that wine completely out of the realm of reality, Jigong radically devalues the weapon.
He strips it of its violent power and turns it into a bizarre punchline.
Yes. And by equating a tool of death to a temporary worldly intoxication, he renders the sword functionally useless. It's no longer a weapon of terror. It's a highly inefficient, unsellable currency for getting drunk.
That's incredible.
The transaction was never meant to happen. The entire performance was for an audience of one, Chen Liang.
Chen Liang is forced to watch his most prized possession, the symbol of his power, be haggled over like a cheap trinket on the street.
It is the final crushing blow to his pride. The psychic architecture of the master thief finally collapses.
And the text shows exactly how complete that collapse is. Chen Liang follows the monk, trailing behind him, until he finally drops to his knees at the Westlake Cold Spring Pavilion.
Right there in public.
He surrenders completely. He tells Jigong he was muddled. He begs for mercy. And surprisingly, Jigong accepts him on the spot. Just like that, the master thief becomes the disciple of the mad monk.
The submission is total. But if you're expecting this to transition into a serene montage of meditation and quiet chanting, you are severely underestimating crazy wisdom.
Not even close. If you're listening and thinking that getting yelled at and having your sword mocked is a tough initiation, wait until they arrive at Liang Temple.
Oh boy.
Because we are about to see that Jigong's version of monastic training is utterly unhinged.
It violates every known expectation of Buddhist monastic life.
Seriously. They walk through the gates of the temple, and Jigong introduces his new disciple to the gate monks. specifically a guy named Jingming and the supervisor, Liang. And what is Jigong's opening move? Does he ask for novice robes? Does he request a meditation cushion for his student?
No.
No. He demands that these monks open their purses and give his new disciple money.
Which is an immediate, aggressive violation of the monastic vow of poverty and detachment from wealth.
Naturally, the monks refuse. They tell him to stop joking around. They don't have personal wealth to hand out.
Right.
So Jigong sighs and takes Chen Liang through the standard, formalized rituals, worshiping the Buddha statues, ringing the temple bells, beating the ceremonial drum.
Doing all the normal stuff.
Right. But then, standing in the sacred space, he lays out Chen Liang's actual vows. His sole duty, his one and only job as a disciple on the path to enlightenment, is to buy Jigong wine and meat.
Wine and meat, the two most prominent absolute prohibitions for a Buddhist monk.
It's crazy. Chen Liang, who just surrendered his entire life to this man, is genuinely trying to play along. He asks a very practical question.
Yeah.
Master, what do I do when I run out of my own money to buy you booze and steak?
A fair question.
And Jigong, without hesitation, instructs his new disciple to steal from the temple itself.
To rob the monks.
He assures him, don't worry, these guys are your elders. They won't dare say anything if they catch you robbing them.
We have to look at the reaction of the other monks here because it is incredibly telling about how institutions handle subversive elements.
They just laugh. They think it's a hilarious bit. They're like, oh, classic Jigong teaching the new guy to embezzle.
Right. The institutional monks completely miss the profound psychological dismantling happening right in front of them. They treat Jigong like a tolerated eccentric, a mascot of the temple, rather than a spiritual surgeon.
But I have to push back on Jigong's method here. So what does this all mean? Because if you're listening to this and thinking, why doesn't Chen Liang just leave the temple?
Mm-hmm.
You have to wonder what the pedagogical purpose of this is.
Right.
Because let's be real. If you hired a life coach to help you find spiritual clarity, and his first instruction was, take your life savings and buy me premium steak and craft beer until you are bankrupt, you wouldn't call that a spiritual awakening. You'd call it a blatant scam.
On the surface, it looks exactly like corruption and exploitation.
Right.
This raises an important question, though. We need to dig into the mechanics of how the ego defends itself. Asceticism, the traditional monastic path of fasting, meditating, and owning nothing, can actually be a trap for a proud man.
How so?
If Chen Liang sat in a quiet room eating gruel, his ego would simply pivot. He would start thinking, look how disciplined I am, look how holy I am becoming. His pride would survive by wrapping itself in spiritual superiority.
Oh, so doing traditional monk stuff would just give his ego a new outfit to wear.
Precisely. I mean, I'd argue it's even worse than that. It reinforces the ego under the guise of destroying it. Jigong knows this. He knows Chen Liang was wealthy, proud, and defined by his material agency. So Jigong forces him to actively exhaust his worldly attachments through degradation.
He makes Chen Liang participate in worldly indulgence, but not for his own pleasure. For the masters.
Exactly. Buying meat for a monk offers zero spiritual glory. It's just humiliating.
And that's the psychic surgery. Chen Liang spends every last cent he has over the next 10 days. The former master thief, the terror of the night, is reduced to pawning his own clothing just to feed his master's bottomless appetite.
He is being drained dry of his resources, his dignity, and his old identity.
Yeah.
And because of the psychological break at Westlake, Chen Liang submits to it. He knows his old paradigm is dead, so he clings to this new, agonizing framework.
But extreme devotion eventually hits a breaking point, you know? You can only pawn so many shirts before you have literally nothing left to give.
Right.
What happens when a master thief runs out of legitimate items to pawn? The pressure becomes too much, and he reverts to his factory settings.
He goes back to what he knows.
He does, which leads us to one of the most chaotic, intense scenes in the entire narrative.
This is the crucible moment, the absolute breaking point of the initiation.
Okay, state the scene.
Yeah.
It's midnight. Chen Liang is completely penniless. He has no money for wine, no money for meat.
Yeah.
The pressure to serve his master is just crushing him.
Right.
So he packs his dark night clothes and decides he's going to sneak out of the temple walls into the city to steal some cash.
The ego is trying to reassert its old dominance. He is reverting to the identity of the predator to solve a problem.
But Jigong, who seemingly never truly sleeps, wakes right up. He catches Chen Liang sneaking out, and he scolds him.
Right.
But, and this is wild, he doesn't scold him for deciding to steal. He scolds him for not stealing inside the temple. exactly as he explicitly instructed him to do.
It's a brilliant inversion of morality. He's angry that the disciple lacked the audacity to follow the unethical instruction to rob his own brethren. He's mad that Chen Liang is falling back on his comfort zone, stealing from strangers in the dark, rather than facing the social transgression of stealing from the temple.
So Jigong decides he's had enough dilly-dallying. He announces that right here, right now, in the middle of the night, he is going to forcefully ordain Chen Liang.
Shave his head.
He is going to shave his head and then make him a full monk immediately. But he doesn't grab a razor and a bowl of warm, soapy water.
No, he does not.
He runs to the temple dining hall and grabs a massive kettle of absolutely boiling water.
The imagery here escalates from psychological pressure to imminent, severe physical trauma.
I really want to focus on the symbolism here, because the threat of scalding hot water is terrifying. Why boiling water? What is the mechanic behind this madness?
Well, we have to view this through the lens of ancient Chinese culture, where hair is deeply intrinsically symbolic.
Right.
It represents your physical connection to your ancestors, your filial piety, and your bonds to secular society. Shaving the head is the ultimate severing of those ties.
It is a profound loss.
It is. To attempt this ritual with boiling water suggests a purification process that is not peaceful, but violently destructive.
I look at it like a blacksmith tempering steel.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
Well, you don't gently blow on a sword to make it strong, right? You heat it until it glows, and then you plunge it into freezing water or oil to shock the molecular structure into something unbreakable.
Right.
It looks destructive, but it's the only way to harden the blade.
Building on that blacksmith analogy, Jigong sees that Chen Liang is wavering. The steel is cooling down, returning to its old, useless shape.
Yes.
The boiling water represents an intense, scorching destruction of who Chen Liang thought he was. It implies that the final breaking of the ego isn't a gentle realization you have while sitting on a cushion. It is a painful, searing elimination of the self.
But the crazy thing is, they never get to finish the tempering process.
No, they get interrupted.
The commotion of Jigong running around the courtyard with a screaming hot kettle wakes up the rest of the monastery.
Right.
The normal monks come rushing out of their quarters. They see Jigong advancing on a terrified disciple with boiling water, and they completely panic.
Understandably.
They physically intervene. They grab a paralyzed Chen Liang, drag him outside the temple gates, and tell him, "Run for your life. The man is having a severe psychotic break. He's a madman."
And in their rush to do the right thing, the normal monks completely disrupt the initiation.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me, because I am genuinely torn.
How so?
Well, in the context of a normal human interaction, those monks are heroes. They saved a guy from third-degree burns.
Right, they prevented grievous bodily harm.
But in the context of this bizarre spiritual journey, did the normal monks actually do Chen Liang a massive disservice? Did they rob him of his final breakthrough?
That is the central, haunting ambiguity of this entire chapter.
Huh.
The normal monks act as the voice of conventional reason, of institutional safety. They see physical danger, and their programming dictates they must stop it. But in the realm of crazy wisdom, physical safety is often the direct enemy of spiritual awakening.
So by saving his skin, they might have doomed his soul.
Yes, or at least severely delayed his enlightenment. By pulling him away from the boiling water, they forced him to remain Chen Liang the thief, rather than allowing him to be boiled down into an empty vessel ready to be filled with wisdom.
Wow.
They represent the strict boundary that conventional religions simply cannot cross.
Jigong operates on a completely different wavelength of urgency than the rest of the world. He saw the window closing. He saw his student reverting.
And he took extreme action.
He took extreme action, and the institution couldn't stomach it.
The institution prioritizes order over enlightenment.
So saved from a scalding haircut, Chen Liang takes the monk's advice. He flees. He runs right back out into the secular world.
Which leads us to the final act.
Yes, a fateful and incredibly chaotic reunion at a local tavern. Because you can run for the mad monk, but you clearly cannot hide.
The narrative tension here shifts beautifully from imminent physical danger to profound philosophical absurdity.
It really does. So Chen Liang goes out into the night, actually commits a robbery to get his hands on some silver, redeems his pawn clothes, and sits down in the small, out-of-the-way tavern to eat.
Okay.
And he is having a full-blown crisis of faith. He's sitting there thinking, okay, I wanted to be a monk, I submitted, but it turned into an absolute nightmare. He took my money, he tried to boil my scalp. maybe I'm just not destined for the monastic life.
Maybe I should just stay a thief.
Exactly. Maybe the universe is telling him to stay a thief.
Notice what his mind is doing there, though. He is frantically trying to build a new narrative to protect his ego from the failure of the initiation.
Right.
He is rationalizing his retreat so he doesn't have to face the fact that he couldn't endure the final test.
But suddenly the tavern door swings open, and who walks in?
Jigong.
Jigong. And the text gives us a hilarious little backstory on what Jigong has been up to since the botched haircut.
Oh, this is great.
He was apparently furious that the other monks let his disciple escape. So he went to the temple supervisor, Liang, and extorted 2 strings of cash from him.
Just squeezed him for cash.
Then Jigong walked down to Westlake, gave every single coin away to the local beggars, and strolled into this random tavern completely broke.
The flow of wealth through Jigong is just fascinating to observe.
Right.
Money holds absolutely no stickiness to his hands. He extracts it from the wealthy institution and redistributes it to the marginalized instantaneously. He is a conduit, not a container.
But Chen Liang doesn't know any of that.
No, of course not.
He just looks up and sees the crazy guy who tried to pour boiling water on his head. So Chen Liang instantly bolts. He abandons his meal and runs out the back door into the night.
The irony is rich here. The master thief, the predator who was hiding under the bed at the beginning of the story, is now the prey fleeing out the back door of a tavern.
The reversal is complete.
Totally complete.
So Jigong doesn't even bother to chase him. He just sits down at a table, orders food, asks for wine, and starts loudly reciting a poem to the entire room.
And the content of this poem is wild, given everything we know about him.
It is, he recites. Drink less wine to keep your nature from going crazy. Abstain from lust to preserve a long life. Righteously acquired wealth brings heavenly protection. Holding back anger enriches the home without disaster.
The contradiction here is massive, blatant, and entirely intentional.
Let's break down the mechanics of that contradiction. Because he is literally sitting in a tavern, drinking wine he knows he cannot pay for, essentially stealing from the owner.
While publicly preaching a poem about drinking less and acquiring wealth righteously.
Makes no sense.
We are witnessing the ultimate separation of outward form and inner substance. Jigong is vocalizing the purest, most conventional moral framework imaginable.
Yeah.
He is reciting the exact rules that society, the government, and the monastery claim to uphold. Yet, his physical actions in that very moment are in direct violation of every single line.
It forces the listener and everyone in that tavern to confront the emptiness of words.
Exactly, or rather, not just the emptiness of words, but the danger of relying on them.
Right.
Anyone can memorize and recite a moral poem, but what is the actual state of their soul? Jigong's hypocrisy is so massive, so undeniably blatant, that it transcends simple hypocrisy and becomes a mirror reflecting the world's absurdity back at itself.
If we connect this to everyday life, it hits so close to home.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about how often we encounter people who say one thing but do another. The politician who aggressively preaches family values on television while quietly having an affair.
Sure.
The CEO who releases statements about corporate responsibility while simultaneously lobbying to dump toxic waste into a river.
Right. But the difference is those people are trying to hide the contradiction. They want you to believe the words and ignore the actions.
Ah, that is the crucial distinction.
Ordinary hypocrites rely on the illusion holding up.
Yeah.
Jigong is actively shattering the illusion. He is shoving the contradiction right in your face.
He isn't failing to live up to the poem. He is weaponizing the poem.
Exactly. He uses it to expose the absurdity of rigid social contracts. Society operates on the premise that if you look righteous and speak righteously, you must be righteous.
Yeah.
Jigong proves that the visual and auditory markers of morality are easily manipulated counterfeits.
It loops perfectly back to his lesson with the sword. What you hear might not be true.
He is demonstrating it in real time, using himself as the negative example.
Which brings us to the climax of this tavern scene, and honestly, one of the funniest linguistic traps I've ever read.
It is brilliant.
It's time to pay the bill. The waiter comes over, and Jigong just shrugs and says, "I don't have any money. Put it on my tab. I'll pay you next time."
Right.
The waiter, obviously annoyed, says, "We don't have a tab here. We don't do credit." So Jigong replies, "Well, tell your boss to go out and buy a ledger to keep track of it."
His audacity knows no bounds. He is demanding the establishment change its entire business model to accommodate his lack of funds.
The waiter is losing his patience. He says, "Look, monk, don't joke around with me. I don't even know who you are."
And right there.
Right there, Jigong springs this incredible semantic trap. He looks at the waiter and says, "Oh, so you don't know me. Have you taken a solemn oath to never know any monks in your entire life?
It is a brilliant linguistic checkmate. It's a masterclass in using absurd semantics to completely derail conventional social rules.
The waiter is just using common colloquial logic. He's
Oh.
saying, I don't know you personally, so I cannot establish trust to give you credit.
Right.
But Jigong twists the literal definition of the words to mean, I am physically incapable of recognizing the concept of a monk.
It operates on the exact same wavelength as a Zen koan.
Oh, like a riddle.
Yeah, a koan is a riddle without a logical answer, like what is the sound of one hand clapping, designed to break the student's reliance on rational, linear thought.
Okay, I see.
Jigong takes a mundane, tense commercial transaction over an unpaid bill and turns it into a linguistic puzzle that the waiter's logical brain cannot process. The waiter is trapped in the rigid rules of commerce and debt, and Jigong is playing a completely different, elevated game of language.
The tavern owner finally has to step in. Things are escalating, voices are raised, and it looks like Jigong might actually get thrown out into the street or beaten up by the staff.
It's getting tense.
But just at the absolute peak of the tension, two complete strangers walk into the tavern.
just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, they walk right past the angry owner, immediately pay Jigong's bill in full, and turn to the monk saying, we've been looking everywhere for you. Finding you is like trying to get fire from ice or oil from sand.
And they beg him to come with them.
Yeah, and in a flash, the tension simply dissolves.
The cosmic ledger balances itself yet again.
It's crazy.
Jigong knew he didn't need money when he walked in because he exists in a state of spiritual flow where the universe or fate provides the exact necessary element at the exact necessary moment.
It is the perfect chaotic ending to the chapter. It leaves the tavern owner confused, the waiter completely linguistically baffled, Chen Liang running off into the night, and the listener wondering where on earth this crazy monk is going next.